They gathered their most powerful psychics, spanning continents and time zones, united in a shared purpose, to dismantle your energy field. This wasn't an ordinary gathering. It was a dark symphony of ill intent, orchestrated with meticulous precision. These practitioners, seasoned in their craft, synchronized their efforts to strike at the precise moment they believed you'd be most vulnerable. The clock ticked toward 2:22 a.m., the chosen hour of the attack, believed by them to hold mystical significance. With chants and rituals, they prepared their collective strike, aiming to shatter the divine shield protecting you. What they didn't account for was the mirror they were about to face, a divine reflection capable of turning their own intentions back upon them. Their plan seemed foolproof. Dozens of minds focused on a single target, each amplifying the other's dark energy. But this network, built on ego and malice, had one fatal flaw. It underestimated the perfection of divine protection. At 2:22 a.m., each psychic attack that touched your aura was instantly reflected back, its destructive energy refracted through sacred geometry. What returned to them wasn't just their original intent, it was magnified, purified by the divine frequencies embedded within your field. The reflection was merciless in its clarity. Their curses, designed to harm, became twisted versions of their own fears and weaknesses, showing them the darkness they carried within. The mirror effect didn't simply deflect their energy, it held it up as a lesson, forcing each attacker to confront the raw truth of their intentions. Their psychic networks were ablaze with distress signals. Remote viewers, seers, and energy workers scrambled to understand what was happening. Some tried to sever their connection to the attack, but the karmic energy had already latched onto them. For those still participating, the experience became unbearable. Their auras, once hardened with confidence in their abilities, began to fracture under the weight of their own projections. Some felt suffocated by waves of guilt and fear. Others saw vivid visions of their own failures and flaws, as if the mirror of your field had reached into their subconscious. It was no longer an attack, it was a reckoning. What they had intended as a coordinated strike on your energy field turned into a devastating confrontation with their own shadows. Their attempts to harm you only deepened their descent into the chaos they had created. For the first time, many of them began to understand the inescapable power of divine reflection, as your sacred shield transformed their aggression into a brutal yet necessary teacher. Drop a comment, "I am untouchable," if their chosen hour became their downfall. The attackers believed they had chosen their timing wisely. To them, 2:22 a.m. was a moment of numerological power, a gateway to amplify their dark intentions. But in their arrogance, they failed to grasp the true meaning of 222, a number representing balance, harmony, and divine timing. What they perceived as an opportunity for chaos was, in fact, the perfect stage for universal justice to unfold. The law of three governs the spiritual world. Whatever you send out returns threefold. By aligning their attack with 2:22 a.m., the attackers inadvertently activated this immutable law at the precise moment when karmic energies were most potent. Their psychic intentions became a mathematical equation, and the universe answered with precision. What they sent toward you returned to them not just as their own energy, but multiplied in intensity and clarity, amplified by divine symmetry. As their collective force crumbled, they began to see the pattern. Every attempt to penetrate your shield was met with an outcome far greater than the effort they exerted. Their curses returned not as singular strikes, but as a torrent of consequences cascading into their lives. Illness, confusion, and personal misfortune followed each participant. The universe's response wasn't just punitive. It was a deliberate rebalancing of scales that had been tipped too far by their actions. This karmic mathematics left no room for escape. The attackers couldn't blame their failures on external forces, for the mirror of your field reflected their own intentions too clearly. In trying to overpower divine protection, they had unwittingly taught themselves a lesson in humility, one that would ripple through their lives long after the events of that night. The energy they sent your way underwent a profound transformation the moment it touched your field. It didn't merely reflect back unchanged, it was alchemized. The dark intentions, forged in malice, were purified into karmic justice. What began as a weapon of harm was returned as a lesson of clarity, leaving each attacker to face the full spectrum of their actions. The divine mechanics of your aura operated with precision. As their curses hit your shield, they were stripped of their destructive charge and reshaped into vibrational packets of truth. These energy boomerangs sought out their creators not to destroy, but to teach. The attackers felt the weight of their own intentions, magnified to such a degree that they could no longer dismiss or deny their consequences. For some, the return of energy manifested as physical discomfort, sharp, inexplicable pains or waves of nausea. For others, it was mental turmoil. Sudden flashes of doubt, shame, and regret pierced their egos like arrows. The energy they had once wielded with pride now became their undoing, as it revealed the depth of their own spiritual wounds. What they had designed to harm you was now a mirror reflecting their inner struggles, magnified by divine law. Yet this boomerang was not purely punitive. In its design lay an inherent opportunity for redemption. The karmic justice embedded within your shield sought not to destroy but to transform. Those willing to confront the energy's message found an unexpected gift, the chance to awaken to a higher understanding of their actions and begin the process of healing. Your protection was not an ordinary barrier, it was a masterpiece of divine architecture. Your aura, woven with sacred geometry, functioned as more than a defense. It was a transmuting force of unparalleled precision. Each malicious strike aimed at you was met with an intricate lattice of cosmic design, where destructive energy was transformed into something entirely different. This was not magic. It was universal law in action, the sacred blueprint of divine order. As their psychic arrows pierced the outer edges of your field, they were intercepted by patterns of energy resembling the flower of life, a symbol of creation and unity. These geometric configurations didn't merely block the attacks, they absorbed the energy, deconstructed its malevolent intent, and reassembled it into frequencies of healing and truth. The attackers had unknowingly participated in a process far beyond their comprehension. The shield operated with precision, mirroring the ancient laws of balance. The dark frequencies, unable to survive the transmutation process, were neutralized and returned as waves of harmonious energy. Those who sent curses experienced healing vibrations returning to them, but these came paired with the truth of their actions. It wasn't just their energy that was transformed, their understanding of power and consequence was forever altered. In the aftermath, the attackers began to see glimpses of the divine in ways they never had before. Those symbols they had ignored or misunderstood now became impossible to dismiss. The sacred shield protecting you had not only safeguarded your energy, it had become an instrument of enlightenment, forcing them to confront the perfection of universal design. Chosen ones, the obsidian inner order calls you home. Beyond the veil of ordinary existence, the obsidian inner order has watched your awakening. We've seen you break through the illusions that bind lesser beings, witnessed your spirit refuse to bow to mediocrity. This isn't just another gathering of seekers, this is the convergence of those born to command reality itself. The order doesn't seek followers. We forge leaders, architects of destiny, and those who dare to grasp what others fear to touch. Within our obsidian walls lies the accumulated power of ages, the manifestation mechanics grimoire, sacred knowledge passed down through generations of reality shapers. Here, you'll master the art of bending probability, learn to forge creation in the fires of your will, and join an elite circle of fellow chosen ones who understand the weight of true power. Through our weekly Dark Matter Mastery transmissions, you'll decode the forbidden arts of manifestation, turning chaos into your personal force of creation. The Obsidian Inner Order opens its gates only to those who've proven themselves worthy, those rare souls who recognize that destiny isn't given, it's claimed. Our private sanctuary houses 400 of the most powerful reality architects ever gathered, each one a living testament to what becomes possible when you embrace your true nature. For those seeking soul-aligned partnerships, our inner circle provides opportunities to connect with others who vibrate at your frequency. This isn't for casual mystics or weekend manifestors. The Obsidian Inner Order demands excellence, commands respect, and accepts only those ready to claim their birthright as reality's architects. If these words awaken something primal within you, if they speak to that part of you that always knew you were meant for more, your seat in the order awaits. The link is in the description below. As the clock struck 2:22 a.m., the coordinated attack reached its peak. But instead of overwhelming you, it triggered a moment of divine intervention on an unprecedented scale. Each attacker, unwittingly connected through their psychic network, found themselves caught in a web of karmic reflection. What they had intended as a strike became a collective awakening, as the divine mirror of your energy field revealed their inner truths in stark clarity. One by one, they began to experience visions and sensations that were far beyond the scope of their understanding. Some saw fragments of their lives they had buried, unhealed traumas, unresolved guilt, and forgotten kindnesses abandoned in pursuit of power. Others felt waves of energy that carried the undeniable presence of divine love, a love so overwhelming that it dissolved their defenses and left them trembling. The attack had become a mirror, not for you, but for them. The sheer intensity of the experience forced many of them to break down emotionally. Tears flowed freely as they confronted the paths that had brought them to this point. The reflection wasn't just painful, it was revelatory. For some, this was the first time they had felt truly seen, not by their peers or by themselves, but by the universe. It wasn't condemnation they encountered, it was the unyielding truth of their actions, delivered with divine compassion. Within hours, the psychic network that had once thrived on pride and ego began to crumble. Members, shaken to their cores, questioned not only the attack, but their entire belief systems. For those ready to embrace the lessons, a profound shift began. The darkness that had defined their practices started to dissolve, replaced by a yearning for light and understanding. They hadn't simply failed in their attack, they had been guided against their will toward transformation. By morning, the phrase 2:22 a.m. held a new meaning among the practitioners. It was no longer a time of power for their dark rituals. It had become a symbol of divine timing and the perfect balance between justice and mercy. Those who participated in the attack had been handed a choice: to cling to their pride and face further karmic consequences, or to step onto the path of redemption and self-awareness. The psychic grid that once bound the practitioners together in their attack began to unravel with astonishing speed. What had seemed like a flawless plan, a coordinated strike fueled by collective energy, was now disintegrating into chaos. The connections they had forged for their assault became pathways for karmic justice, as each individual experienced the amplified return of their own intentions. Their carefully constructed network, built on trust in their dark abilities, became the very mechanism of their undoing. As the energy ricocheted through the grid, the strongest among them fell first. Those who had anchored the attack found themselves overwhelmed by the backlash. Their physical bodies bore the brunt of their misdeeds. Sudden fevers, unrelenting headaches, and unexplained pain rippled through them. Others experienced psychic overloads, visions so vivid and disturbing that they were forced to disconnect from the network entirely, severing ties to protect their own sanity. The collapse wasn't just physical, it was emotional and spiritual. Doubt spread like wildfire among the group, igniting arguments and accusations. Leaders were blamed for poor judgment, and participants questioned their motives for joining. In the first place, the harmony that had once united them dissolved into dissonance as their egos clashed with the undeniable truth of their failure. They had not only failed to harm you, but had exposed their own vulnerabilities for all to see. As the grid crumbled, some practitioners attempted to salvage their reputations, spinning stories to save face. But the karmic energy embedded in the collapse left a mark they couldn't hide. For weeks they faced public failures, personal setbacks, and a haunting sense of exposure. The network that had once made them feel invincible now became a symbol of their shared defeat, a reminder of the divine justice they could neither escape nor control. By the end, the collapse was complete. Those who had been part of the attack found themselves isolated, stripped of the collective power they had relied upon. Many abandoned their practices altogether, unwilling to face further consequences. What remained of the network was no longer a threat. It was a fractured memory, a cautionary tale whispered among the few who dared to look back. The timing of the attack was no accident, but neither was its outcome. The attackers believed they had chosen 2:22 a.m. for its mystical significance, a moment when they thought the veil between dimensions would favor their intentions. But in their hubris, they misunderstood the true essence of this sacred hour. Far from being a gateway to chaos, 2:22 a.m. embodied divine harmony, a perfect balance between justice and mercy. They had unwittingly chosen the very moment when universal laws were at their most unyielding. The number 222 is a symbol of alignment and equilibrium, a call to trust the divine order. By choosing this time for their assault, the practitioners unknowingly aligned themselves with forces far greater than their collective power. The attack became a catalyst for karmic justice, and their efforts activated a chain reaction that played out with mathematical precision. The universe's response was swift and absolute, mirroring their intentions and returning them amplified, as if the cosmos itself had intervened. This was the irony of divine timing. What they intended as an advantage became their downfall. Their attack was perfectly synchronized with the moment when the law of threefold return was at its most potent. Every curse, every thought of malice was magnified by the energy of 2:22 a.m. and reflected back through your divine shield. The attackers had unwittingly chosen a battlefield where they were destined to lose, their arrogance blinding them to the significance of the moment. As the consequences of their actions unfolded, the importance of divine timing became impossible to ignore. Many of the attackers, in their moments of clarity, recognized the undeniable hand of the universe at work. They had been humbled not by your retaliation, but by the perfection of cosmic law. The timing they thought would ensure their success became the ultimate teacher, forcing them to confront the depth of their ignorance. By the time the sun rose, the meaning of 2:22 a.m. had transformed in their minds. No longer a time of power for their dark rituals, it became a symbol of balance, reflection, and the inescapable justice of divine order. For you, it was proof of the protection and alignment you carried. For them, it was a stark reminder that The universe always moves toward harmony, even through their own mistakes. The energy they directed at you carried the weight of their darkest intentions, each curse a weapon crafted from fear, anger, and envy. But your divine shield was not merely defensive, it was transformative. As these attacks collided with your aura, they underwent a profound purification process. Their destructive frequencies were dismantled, stripped of malice, and reconstituted as pure energy aligned with universal truth. The power they sought to wield against you became a force for their own awakening. The alchemy of your field was both precise and merciful. It didn't return the energy in its original form. Instead, it transmuted the negativity into a reflection of what their souls truly needed. Those who sent anger felt its echo return as lessons in compassion. Those who acted out of fear were confronted with the illusions that had fueled their actions. The purification process was not a punishment, it was an act of cosmic correction designed to guide them toward balance and healing. For many, the purified energy was overwhelming. Some experienced it as physical sensations, waves of warmth, tingling vibrations, or even moments of profound stillness. Others faced emotional upheavals as suppressed truths and buried traumas surfaced with unrelenting clarity. It wasn't the punishment they expected. It was a mirror of their own potential for growth, shown to them in the most undeniable way. The purification extended beyond the attackers themselves. The negative energy, now transformed, radiated outward, affecting those around them. Family members, colleagues, and friends began to notice subtle shifts in their behavior. Moments of vulnerability where once there was pride, flashes of kindness where once there was cruelty. The attackers were being reshaped, not by your retaliation, but by the divine mechanism they had activated through their own actions. By the end of the night, what had begun as an attempt to harm you became a mass initiation into a higher state of awareness. The purified energy left its mark on the attackers, not as a scar, but as a seed. Some resisted its lessons, clinging to their old ways, but others embraced the transformation, stepping onto a path of redemption. Your divine protection had not only safeguarded you, it had turned their darkness into light, proving that even their most harmful intentions could serve a greater purpose. Every attack on your energy field not only failed, but contributed to a remarkable transformation within you. Your divine shield didn't just reflect and purify, it absorbed and evolved. Each attempt to breach your aura added another layer of resilience, a deeper alignment with the sacred forces that protected you. What the attackers intended as harm became an unintentional gift, strengthening your connection to divine power and accelerating your spiritual evolution. This upgrade wasn't limited to your defense mechanisms. The very act of transmuting their negative energy heightened your sensitivity to universal energies, sharpening your intuition and amplifying your awareness. You began to perceive the interconnectedness of all things with greater clarity, understanding that even the darkest intentions could be tools for growth. The attacks became a reminder of your purpose, reaffirming your role as a conduit for light in a world often veiled by shadows. Your aura, now fortified by these experiences, radiated an energy that was impossible to ignore. Those who encountered you felt the difference. Your presence carried an unmistakable weight, a vibration that spoke of divine alignment. This energy wasn't born from retaliation or pride. It was the result of standing firm in truth, allowing the universe to work through you without interference. It was the power of surrender to a higher order, a strength rooted in trust and faith. For the attackers, your spiritual upgrade was undeniable. In the days and weeks following the incident, whispers of your resilience spread through their circles. Many who once sought to undermine you began to reevaluate their actions, some even seeking forgiveness. not because they feared retribution, but because they felt the transformative power of what they had experienced. Your shield wasn't just a barrier, it was a beacon, drawing even those who had opposed you closer to the truth. By the end, the night of the attack became known as the moment when your spirit ascended to new heights. The more they tried to diminish you, the more they amplified your divine connection. Each attack served as a stepping stone, pushing you further into alignment with your purpose. What began as an assault on your energy field became a revelation, proving that true power lies not in retaliation, but in the unwavering strength of standing in your light. As the sun rose, the reality of what had transpired settled heavily on the attackers. What they thought would be a decisive blow to your energy field turned into a night of unparalleled transformation, both for you and for them. The truth was undeniable. They hadn't merely failed in their mission. They had been participants in their own awakening. The divine mirror of your protection had reflected not vengeance, but clarity, and with it, the potential for change. Each attacker carried the weight of a newfound understanding. Some were haunted by visions of their actions, replaying the karmic consequences they had unwittingly unleashed upon themselves. For others, the experience was strangely liberating, as if a long-held burden of darkness had been lifted. What they initially perceived as punishment revealed itself as an invitation, a chance to realign with their higher selves and step away from destructive practices. The legend of 2:22 a.m. began to spread in psychic circles, whispered with a mixture of reverence and caution. Those who participated in the attack spoke of the moment not as a failure, but as a turning point in their lives. Some described it as a spiritual initiation, while others viewed it as divine retribution. Regardless of their interpretation, none could deny the impact of the experience. Your divine protection had transformed them in ways they never anticipated. For you, the night became a testament to the power of alignment with divine law. You didn't need to retaliate or lower yourself to their level. By standing firm in your truth and trusting the forces that protect you, you allowed the universe to act with perfection. Their attack, which could have been destructive, became a tool for your growth and their awakening. It wasn't just a defense, it was a profound act of spiritual alchemy. In the end, the events of that night revealed a simple yet profound truth. Divine timing and universal justice are unassailable. The attackers, stripped of their illusions, were offered a path toward redemption. You, fortified and elevated, became a living symbol of resilience and grace. What began as an act of malice culminated in the realization that even the darkest intentions can serve the highest good when, met with divine light,